Who is best Star Trek captain? Script for nearly 6 decades, Star Trek has invited us to imagine a future where humanity reaches beyond its limitations and into the stars. A future shaped not just by technology, but by leadership. Because while starships may carry the crew, and science may guide the mission, it is the captain who ultimately determines the course. The captain is more than a rank, and across the history of Star Trek, we have been introduced to a remarkable lineup of leaders, each radically different from the last. Some commanded with instinct, some with intellect, some with empathy, others with sheer force of will. Which raises a question fans have debated for decades. Who is the best Star Trek captain? Not the most famous, not the most quoted, not the most nostalgic, but the best. To answer that question, we must first understand something important. Star Trek has never believed there is only one way to lead. Instead, it has presented leadership as a reflection of the era in which each series was created. Every captain is, in many ways, a mirror of the cultural moment that produced them. And perhaps that is why this debate never truly ends. Because choosing the best captain often reveals as much about the viewer as it does about the character. Let's begin with the captain who started it all, James T. Kirk. Kirk did not lead from a conference table. He led from the front line. He climbed the mountain. He entered the unknown. He confronted danger directly, often personally. Where later captains might pause for philosophical analysis, Kirk acted, not recklessly, but decisively. His leadership style was built on trust. Trust in his instincts and trust in his crew. He surrounded himself with brilliant minds, but when the moment demanded action, he never hesitated. Some critics have simplified Kirk as impulsive, but that interpretation misses something deeper. Kirk understood that hesitation can sometimes cost lives. He knew leadership required courage, not just intellectual courage, but physical courage. And perhaps most importantly, he believed rules were tools, not cages. If a regulation prevented him from doing what was morally right, he was willing to challenge it, not for ego, but for humanity. Kirk represented a future still infused with frontier energy, exploration that felt bold, even dangerous. His enterprise was less a cruise ship among the stars and more a wagon train crossing unknown territory. That spirit mattered in the 1960s. The world itself felt uncertain, divided, volatile. Kirk embodied the idea that progress required bravery. Yet leadership is not only about bravery. It is also about restraint, which brings us to a very different kind of captain, Jean-Luc Picard. If Kirk was the pioneer, Picard was the philosopher. Where Kirk leaned forward, Picard leaned inward. He believed the greatest weapon aboard the Enterprise was not a torpedo, but the mind. Picard led with intellect, diplomacy, and moral clarity. He was a captain who preferred dialogue over combat, understanding over domination, patience over spectacle. Watching Picard command often felt like watching a master chess player, always thinking several moves ahead. But what truly distinguished him was his reverence for principle. He did not merely follow Starfleet ideals, he embodied them. To Picard, leadership meant holding oneself to the highest ethical standard, especially when it was inconvenient, especially when it was painful. He reminded us that power without morality is not strength, it is danger. And yet Picard was not cold. Beneath the discipline lived deep compassion. He saw the dignity in every species, every culture, every individual. For many fans, Picard represents the aspirational leader, the person we hope would be in charge when the stakes are highest. But leadership is often tested most severely not in ideal conditions, but in isolation, which is why the story of Kathryn Janeway stands apart. Imagine commanding a starship stranded 70,000 light-years from home. No reinforcements, no resupply, no safety net, just you, and the responsibility for every life aboard. Janeway was not simply a captain. She became the anchor of an entire floating civilization. Her leadership demanded balance on a level few others faced. She had to be scientist and strategist, caretaker and commander, firm, yet deeply human. What made Janeway extraordinary was her refusal to abandon Starfleet values, even when circumstances tempted compromise. Shortcuts might have accelerated the journey home, but she understood something profound. If they sacrificed their principles to survive, what exactly would they be returning as? Janeway proved that leadership is not defined by comfort. It is defined by consistency, by choosing integrity again and again, even when no one is watching, even when the alternative looks easier. Yet if Kirk was courage and Picard was intellect, and Janeway was resilience, then Benjamin Sisko was something entirely different. Sisko was evolution, because Deep Space Nine asked a question Star Trek had rarely confronted so directly. What happens when idealism collides with prolonged conflict? Stationary rather than exploratory, Sisko's command forced him into political, military, and spiritual arenas simultaneously. He was not always afforded the luxury of philosophical distance. War has a way of compressing morality, and Sisko understood that leadership sometimes means carrying the weight of impossible decisions. He was willing to step into gray areas that other captains might avoid, not because he lacked ethics, but because he recognized the cost of survival. His strength was not perfection, it was accountability. Now consider Jonathan Archer. Before alliances were stable, before protocols were refined, before humanity truly understood its place in the galactic neighborhood, Archer commanded during a time when every decision helped shape the reputation of Earth itself. There were no centuries of Starfleet tradition guiding him. He was helping write the manual, and pioneers rarely get the privilege of certainty. Archer stumbled at times. He learned publicly. He adapted constantly. But that is precisely what makes his leadership fascinating. Without Archer's willingness to evolve, the Federation we later admire might never have existed. And then we arrive at a captain who embodies empathy in a distinctly modern way. Christopher Pike. Pike leads with emotional intelligence. He listens deeply. He supports visibly. He understands that authority does not require distance. Strength paired with warmth. Confidence without arrogance. Transparency without fragility. He trusts his crew not only as officers, but as people. And that trust creates loyalty. But what makes Pike especially compelling is his relationship with fate. Knowing the suffering that awaits him, he chooses leadership anyway. There is something profoundly heroic about walking toward a future you know will cost you dearly, and doing so with grace. So now we return to the central question. Who is the best captain? Is it the fearless pioneer, the philosophical diplomat, the relentless survivor, the wartime strategist, the foundational explorer, the emotionally intelligent guide, or is the question itself flawed? Because perhaps Star Trek has never tried to give us one perfect leader. Instead, it has shown us that leadership must evolve. Different challenges demand different strengths. And maybe the deeper lesson is this: great leadership is not a personality, it is an adaptation. Consider the world today. We debate what leadership should look like more than ever before. Should leaders project strength, compassion, certainty, humility? Star Trek has quietly explored these questions for generations, not by telling us the answer, but by showing us possibilities, which may explain why fans defend their favorite captains so passionately. They are not just defending a character, they are defending a philosophy of leadership. Some viewers want the bold decision maker. Others trust the ethical scholar. Some admire the protector who does whatever it takes. Others gravitate toward the mentor who elevates everyone around them. And perhaps the most remarkable thing is that Star Trek never insists one is superior. Instead, it suggests that the future will require all of these qualities, Courage, wisdom, resilience, adaptability, empathy. Because commanding a starship is not really about space, it is about people, their fears, their hopes, their survival. So rather than asking who is objectively the best captain, maybe a more revealing question is this: which captain would you want on the bridge when everything goes wrong, when the unknown becomes dangerous, when the moral path is unclear, when time runs out? Your answer to that question says something profound about what you believe leadership should be. And that is why this debate continues, not as a competition, but as a conversation. In the end, the greatest captains share something essential. They understand that command is not about authority, it is about responsibility. It is about carrying the weight so others can move forward. It is about making the decision no one else wants to make, and accepting the consequences. Star Trek has given us many extraordinary leaders, not to crown a single champion, but to remind us that the future will always demand more from those who dare to guide it. So who is the best captain? Perhaps the answer is beautifully simple. The best captain is the one their crew believes in, the one who earns trust when trust is hardest to give, the one who turns a ship into a family, and a mission into a purpose. Because in the vast silence of space, leadership is the signal that keeps everyone from feeling alone. And maybe that, more than anything, is what makes a captain truly great.